Hi, I'm immigration lawyer John Kusrabi. Thank you for joining us today for our live show every Tuesday at 4 p.m. Pacific time, where we come live and take your questions about U.S. immigration law. And so, what a wonderful thing it is to talk about because so many people need the help on this subject, millions and millions of people. So, again, we're here every Tuesday at 4 p.m. We'll see how my internet does hold us over. But if you're watching on TikTok, you'll probably be able to see us. But we're live on Instagram as well. YouTube and LinkedIn, JQK Law Firm, U.S. Immigration Talk, John Kusrabi. I got different names on each one of these. I should have kept them the same on all of them. But thank you for joining us. Feel free to shout out your questions, and we'll answer what we could for general education purposes only, not intended as individual legal guidance. For that, we got to sit and talk in private and go over your case, your background. Can't do that here in the public, and there's just not enough space to have a full-on conversation. But a lot of times we can answer things to give you a better idea of what's going on. If you're interested in a marriage green card case, we have a guide called the Ultimate Marriage Green Card Guide, 670 plus pages of guidance on what's going on with the fiancé visa, marriage green card. Check that out before you even talk with an immigration attorney to know what's going on. The website for downloading that is marriageimmigrationlaw.com. Again, the website is marriageimmigrationlaw.com. And we have a guide for citizenship for those thinking about going through the naturalization process. You've had your green card for many years and now you want to become a U.S. citizen. You can download that guide at jqqlaw.com/citizenship, 50 plus pages. Again, the website is jqqlaw.com/citizenship. It is a free guide. You got to download it by giving your email and stuff, and you'll get a PDF in an email so you can read that, review it. I'm sure if you read it, you'll be like, wow, this attorney put a lot of time into it. I didn't expect that. And it's really worth it. It's not just like a 2-page thing of excuse to get your email address. I can really sit and read this thing and learn a lot about immigration law. Other immigration lawyers download my guides and study them, so it's like that. Having said that, feel free to shoot out your questions and we'll start the show. Let's see if we got a first question coming up. It'll come up in a second. My internet's being slow, so that these websites always ding me for that. So feel free to ask a question. Matt Deeb asks, hi, sir. I got a restraining order for my wife, and I'm on a temporary green card, 2-year. Am I eligible to get a green card after getting civil restraining order? Did you get one that was a restraining order put against you or against your spouse? So you said, I don't want my spouse to be here, or the spouse said, I want you to be here. Generally, as long as you don't violate the restraining order, so it doesn't become a criminal issue, it's okay. Under the current administration, there might be moral character issues that come out of that. The 2-year green card, I-751 removal conditions will probably be okay. I got it's deeper, so I got to see what went on in your relationship, because if you're having these kind of situations, it's always a lot more going on, so we got to talk about it. But at citizenship stage, this might get into this too. So you make sure you have this all documented and you have information on what's going on and everything like that. It's a terrible situation to be in. She filed against me and got orders. So don't violate it first and foremost. We got to see what the order is. Probably the I-751 removal condition should be okay. Again, if you don't violate it and there's no criminal conviction against you, if there's charges, you got to be able to fight it. But criminal stuff could be problematic, but for citizenship more than this step. But you're probably okay, but this is one of those things that goes in territory of it's better you have an immigration attorney helping you on the case and potentially coming with you to the interview. So it should be probably someone who's local. I'm not sure where you are, Mandeep, but if you're going to hire us out, it depends on where you are. We could always do the case and then hire someone local to you to come with you, but we got to sit and talk about it first. Omar asks, our divorce was based on mutual consent, naturalization after 5 years because... let's see, the website I'm doing this sounds cutting out. Our mutual consent. No, to be able to, yeah, I mean, you have to do 5 years. So if you're gonna apply for citizenship, my guide, the Ultimate Naturalization Citizenship Guide at jqqlaw.com/citizenship has this information there. But you have to be married and living with your spouse at the time of filing Form N-400 for citizenship. So if you're not living together when you're filing N-400, you can't use the 3-year fast version. You got to do the 5-year version. So yeah, you're stuck with that. Justice says, my uncle is a U.S. citizen. I tried to visit him in October 2024. I was denied, and currently I've been accepted to pursue master art in criminal justice. How do I answer what has changed? Well, if what has changed, you got an acceptance notice from a school. So it shows that was after the fact date. If it was before, you had that October 2024, which is a year ago. So, I mean, you already answered your own question right there. You got accepted into a master's program. So that could be it. And, give it a shot. Fabrizio says, Overstay L1B 20 years ago, getting I-485 paperwork ready soon. Son is 21. I'm worried about the have you ever falsely claimed to be a citizen question regarding a job. How worried should I be? I hate to say it, you shouldn't even been asking this question on the show. It's that bad. If you ever falsely claim to be U.S. citizenship, then it's major problem. Now, certain I-9 forms from many years ago, the question they asked was, are you a national or a citizen? For those, it's okay potentially because the word national is me or citizen, but they updated the form I-9, so it just says citizen now. So if you did falsely claim to be a citizen to get a job, that's a reason to be deported. I mean, there's not much defenses you can do at all about that. Very rare, maybe asylum or something like that, which I'm not an expert in. But that's something that you got to scrub it. I can't scrub it. You can't do anything about it. But I wouldn't be coming online talking about that. But having said that, unfortunately, it's not good. Hopefully, the rest is good. These are the reasons you should talk with immigration in private because, sometimes it's better not to do anything than move certain things forward. Okay. US AI. Ask question. My green card. Okay. So AI. Thank you everyone for joining and those liking us on TikTok. I really appreciate it. Let's see. Did we comment? Okay. So yeah, the immigration situation is some stuff's faster and some stuff's slower because we're gonna start getting questions about how long it takes. That's always a big one. And the reality is it's mixed. So if you're doing the case in the US right now, it's actually gone faster for citizenship and adjustment of status for marriage cases in particular. Embassies, some are faster, some are slower, but generally it's slowing down to go to the embassy. But again, this stuff changes every day. It's very hard to say what's the best situation. So you got to be prepared for huge delays if you're going through the immigration process, or be really surprised how fast it is. And so planning your life plans and stuff gets really difficult, especially if you're married, you want to have kids, you want to change jobs and stuff like that. It's not as easy because they just make it extra hard for you. But that's what we're dealing with right now. Now, if you're going to try to get a visa at the embassy, some embassies take a long time to schedule a visa interview. Like in Mexico, it's taking a long time, even for a tourist visa, which is very obnoxious. But then other embassies in London, they're scheduling them very fast. So you got to see which one's which. You could try doing expedite requests, asking them to do the case faster to get it. Most of them are being denied right now. They're not being very helpful when it comes to expedite requests. But, that's what difficulties of dealing with the government is. You never know what you're going to deal with and how nice they're going to be. Destroy asks, sir, can I ask you if a marriage green card case approved, how long will it take to receive a green card? Well, typically, if a marriage green card case is approved, now people don't know where the approval step is. If you're in the United States and your adjustment of status was approved, typically the green card comes in the mail 1 to 2 weeks later. Sometimes it takes 7 or 9 months, and sometimes you get lost. But 9 out of 10 times is that long. If you got your green card through the embassy, after you enter the United States and you've paid the green card fee, again, that was typically 2 to 4 weeks, sometimes much longer. But it usually comes pretty fast unless they just mess it up or the post office loses it, which unfortunately happens, and that's a disaster. You got to pay a fee to get a new green card form I-90, and that could take 3 months. It could take 2 years. Quadruple A, one of our regulars, good to see you. Hi, John. Is there any update on the proposed rule that would replace duration of status F1 students with commission? Good question. They're going to update the student visa process to make it more restrictive and strict and hassle people. But no updates yet. I think they're still going through the rulemaking process. I think a lot of people have asked questions and complained in that process. So we haven't heard of anything about that yet. But to add insult to injury, a new proposed rule is starting. One was taking away Biden's public charge requirement, the way he interpreted it in his administration. And they're going to issue a new one pretty soon saying how they're going to interpret it. Essentially, they're going to be more strict, thinking that whoever's coming to America is not going to be able to afford to live here, so they're not going to let them in unless they have a lot of money, education, good language skills, family members, finances, a lot. And so if they have any health issues, potentially they could deny them, obesity, heart palpitations. It's kind of wild. We're going to see how strict they're actually going to be. But it opens it up big time for officers, either the USCIS or consular officers in particular, to just deny cases saying you're a public charge, not going to let you in. And then what are you going to do about that? So there's no easy cases. You never know what case is going to be approved until you have the green card in your hand. It's kind of nasty, really. Harry asks, USCIS mistakenly rejected my petition due to payment errors. I'm aged out now. Oof. That's terrible, Harry. So if it really is their error and you could prove it, potentially you could ask the Lockbox to maintain the previous age. We had that issue with our office too, where we sent it in and they didn't understand it. They kept rejecting it 3 times until we complained. They went to supervisors and they finally accepted it and gave the proper date. But is it really their mistake or something you did? So that's something. But if you prove it's theirs, then that's something that could potentially help you. That's why you got to be better to have an immigration lawyer. Although immigration lawyers mess up on that too, but it's better to have one. Destroy says, thanks for the answer. And my lawyer told that it wouldn't be safe to leave the country with a 2-year green card. Do you think this information is accurate? I don't believe that information. Some lawyers are extra conservative. But if you have a 2-year green card and maybe, I don't know your information, maybe you have a case that's on the line or something like that. But if it's like a really strong case, you don't have any criminal history, never part of a military group, you never said mistaken wrong things in previous applications, then if you need to travel, you gotta live your life. You can't be like in prison here. But it really depends on the facts of your case. I really just, it's an individual analysis, but I don't know the details of your case. But if you have a clean case, everything's good, maybe that's too conservative. At the end of the day, but it's up to you how much you want to risk it. Maria asks, I would like to know if the victims of U visa, T-VOW are entitled to apply for state-funded health care. I don't know. I don't really focus on those kind of cases. I don't really want to answer that. They historically were, but I'm not a specialist on that. Now, yes, hi, can a lawyer help speed up an EAD, employment authorization document? Well, first and foremost, a lawyer can just help you do it properly to avoid like unnecessary mistakes, which people do. And secondly, they can help like request expedites and stuff like that, which you can do on your own too. But sometimes when people do expedite requests on their own, they say like wild stuff. It really depends on you and how efficiently and well-spoken you could be about it. But and they can help you do congressional requests. It's just when like there's stuff that people could do on their own, but they either don't do it or they take something that's relatively simple and they make it complicated and harder. So sometimes, like, when I first started practicing immigration, I had a case where a guy contacted me, like a marriage case or some marriage green card. And he told me about it. I'm like, you know what? You're a very sophisticated guy. You're good. Just go and do it on your own. Like, you could do it. And then he came back to me 6 months later. His case was rejected multiple times. He had errors, problems, this and that. I'm like, dude, you're like a PhD. Like, how'd you not do this? And I realized, like, paperwork is annoying. And so people don't like doing paperwork. Plus, the immigration department has like a million things. Like, if you want to do an employment authorization, not going to expedite, you might go and say something that's very problematic. So in your case, for example, I was talking about this public charge rule that says like you have to be able to support yourself. Now, if you need a work permit because like your sponsor has lost their job and is broke now, that could be like if you're doing a marriage case, for example, that could be problematic there. And so or like saying, well, we're running out of money or savings, or like you might say some wild stuff. Not to say you're going to say it, but I've seen people say some stuff or like, hey, you shouldn't have said that to the government and stuff like that. You always have to be honest with the government, but going out of your way to say maybe my husband's going to lose a job, all this stuff can make you look bad. So we got to like analyze. And that's where people like, it's not as much that you can't do it on your own and do this stuff, but it's like you do it and then you say something that's unnecessary, or some people want to lie and we have to like talk them off. Like, don't lie. It's better to get your ED later, but don't lie to the government. So this invaluable right there just to stop people from lying. And you imagine like I'm paying a lawyer just to tell me what not to do. I'm like, yeah, it's, if I could have done that to thousands of cases where people came to me and they like said unnecessary information that can promise for him, but I said, why'd you do that in the first place? You could have said X, Y, and Z, but you said A, B, C, and that just creates massive problems for you in the future now because you said that. But if you just hired me, although you could have done the paperwork yourself, I would have. That's one little conversation we would have been worth $100,000. So can a lawyer help? You know, there's a lot going on to why you need a lawyer that cares about what they do and pays attention. Destroy says, I mean, I don't have any criminal record. I'm just curious about because of my new government policies. No new government policy by I-751s. They're just being more strict, but if you have history, they'll be strict on it. We have, I think, maybe a Japanese speaker posting something. I don't speak Japanese, so I can't read what you're asking. Please ask it in English. Travis says, good night to you too. Harry says, they never try to charge the credit card. Information was accurate. Also was a Sigis application petition. I don't know how you're going to prove that. Sorry. I don't know. We have Asian caricature saying, I'm looking for an attorney who can help me with the I-131 application and how I can find the most affordable option. I really can't help you about finding affordable options. That's for you, around. But if you want schedule a consultation, we'll talk about it. We have paid consultations, and then we take it from there. jqqlaw.com/contact, jqqlaw.com/contact. But affordable and stuff, that's a consumer choice kind of situation. Nomkis says, I have my I-765 approved as a work permit for the 22nd of October. It still hasn't been produced. They do that sometimes where it take a long time. Very rarely, but not rarely. I would say like 5% of the time, whether that's rare or not. But that does happen sometimes, unfortunately. Try calling them up to see what's going on. They might just say you have to wait, but it sucks. It sucks to have to wait, almost a month now. Harry says, we have bank statements as proof contacted Lockbox. They didn't give much information. So we got to analyze that and have proof and evidence and break it down and get. You used to be able to get the ombudsman involved, but it's hard to get them. And congressperson, try to fight it. Travis says, how long does the NBC take to reach out to you after your K-1 is approved? So it's not really matters the KBC reaching out to you. It's really how long your embassy is. So if you have an embassy that's really backed up, the embassy is going to take longer too. But if you have an embassy that's quick to schedule your interview, the National Visa Center will contact you sooner too, give you a case number. Sometimes after a month or two, you could try contacting the National Visa Center asking for your case number. But it really doesn't matter as much what the NBC is doing. It really depends on the embassy that you're dealing with and what they're. And another thing about the fiancé visa, one of the annoying things about the fiancé visa is every embassy processes embassy K1 fiance visas differently, Travis. So like some will contact you for interviews, some won't. Some will have to do this or that. You have to contact them and schedule them. They do it so differently. You got to study in what that specific consulate embassy is going to be handling yours. But usually it's the embassy has to contact you about it. Manny says, "How much you charge me for that case, and my marriage is genuine?" I don't know your case well enough here to we got to schedule a consultation. There's a consultation fee there. Go to jqqlaw.com/contact for me to review it. And you're going to be going through a waiver-based removal condition, so that creates a lot of expenses. Partially it's fixed, but partially it's like if more work is needed, it's hourly. So it can get kind of pricey. You're in a difficult situation because it requires more legal work too. But we got to see what documents you have, your history, what you said in your initial application. Just a lot, man, deep we got to study. So please schedule a consultation first, jqqlaw.com/contact, and we can take it from there. Harry said, "Did you ever able to retain originally filing date and error was USCIS?" Yeah, I have. It's a hell of a lot of work and begging and pleading and getting angry. But it's possible, but you got to be able to have evidence. Lily says, "It's been 49 days since my wife's green card interview. Should we start to be worried?" Not per se. Usually, yes. If it goes over a month, usually, yes. You should write them a letter. I had one case. It took 3 months after the interview to be approved, but the client, like, they hired us after filing the case, and usually I don't accept cases like that, but we have to correct so much on it, probably confuse the officer. But typically, yeah, if it's after a month, it's like, it's not good. So we'd want to, Lily, see how the interview went, go over it, ask you questions and what you answered and stuff like that, to see if there's any particular red flags in your case that would cause them to take that long. Okay, now you just keep asking your question. Harry says, USCIS officers retain original filing date or the Lockbox staff? It's a Lockbox. It doesn't really get to USCIS. The Lockbox is supposed to figure it out. That they handle like that stuff. All right, time flew by, 17 minutes. As a reminder, I'm immigration lawyer John Kusrabi. I handle U.S. immigration law, founder of the firm, and we handle cases from all across America. Love helping you. Marriage, green card cases, fiance cases, I-751 removal cases, whether joint or waiver-based, solo, citizenship, naturalization, reentry permits, green card renewals, consular processing, extraordinary ability, EB-1A, E-2 visas, L1s, and that's it. Stop right there. We don't do asylum, T visas, U visas. We don't help people that are detained or in immigration court. Unfortunately, we don't have the resources to handle those kind of cases. But primarily, if you're doing those I-130s and you got married and happy and stuff, we can help you out. Just schedule a private consultation. Go to jqqlaw.com/contact. I accidentally invited someone to come as a guest. I'm not sure how that works out. You press the wrong button on TikTok and invites people. So sorry, I didn't mean that. Carrie says, can I able to contact you about retaining original filing date? I don't know. I mean, we have a consultation. I can look at your evidence and then say if I could do it or not. I can't just say yes. I got to spend a consultation fee for me to even look at it because it's going to take time. But I can't say I could do it or not. It's going to be hourly based too because we don't know what's going to happen. But you have a consultation to start. Swifty says, I went to my interview for a green card under my dad. They can't find the I-130 approved 2026. Is that bad? Well, it's not good. But they do stuff like that. Do you have a copy yourself that you could have done? Maybe you do a FOIA request, it will come up that way. But that happens sometimes when they do that kind of stuff. So we got to see what's going on. Now, you say green card under my dad. They can't find the approved I-130 in 2026. So I would want to know more information about like what kind of case it is exactly. Like your dad filed for you, or were you dependent on his case? How old are you? Have you maintained status? Is there out of status issues? There's a lot of stuff going on there. Now he thinks, I think I need a lawyer. I submitted my EAD-based adjustment of status. I have an OPT, but that expires in July, and just need the EAD out before that. Apparently, some people wait months or never get the EADs. Well, if it's by July, 7 months from now, then you're good. It's probably going to get issued by then. Most of our EADs for marriage cases and family cases are 9 out of 10 times come out like in 30 to 60 days. It's pretty good. But if it gets closer to the July time, you could contact them to request an expedite Nelly to say that, my OPT is ending. I'm going to lose my job. Please expedite it. So I'll probably do that like 2 months beforehand or something like that. But you have time. July is 8 months away. I don't know what kind of green card case exactly that you have, Nelly, but most likely it's going to come anyway. So I'm not sure you need to do anything about that right now. Harry for consultation. What do you say? Okay. Lily says, so basically after the 60 days, the officer told us to wait before reaching out. Should we write them? Yeah, I write him a letter, just simple letters. Think the officer, is there anything I can help you with to help you make a decision on the case, and then see what happens. Really, just keep it simple, just to remind them that you exist and you're doing that. Peace and Love asks for affirmative asylum that applied in 2005. Will they have an interview this year? That really depends on the officer you're dealing with and how backed up they are and where you are in the process. So sometimes the cases will be in a few months after filing, sometimes maybe many years. So he says, I do have a copy. Can they deny my case? I have 245I. I was a minor. That's good. Can they deny your case? I mean, I don't know. There's always a chance to deny a case. I don't know the facts of it, but the fact you have 245I is really good. But that always confuses people. Officers sometimes aren't familiar with 245I. But can they deny your case? Yeah, there's a lot parts of your life we got to know about before we could tell you if it's a good case or not. You're probably okay. I don't want to scare you or stuff like that. You're welcome. Peace and love. But that happens. Did you have a lawyer helping you, or did you do it by yourself? So a lot of times lawyers can be helpful in the meeting. One's to prep the 245I so the officer understands it well and reminds you to pay the extra filing fee you have for that. But sometimes you're there for explaining and stuff. But it gets pricey if a lawyer with you do all that stuff. It's a little more complicated case when you have 245I. 245I is essentially that you had a green card case started for you or like your parents back in the 90s, essentially. And it never was finished. But based on that, even if you enter the U.S. without authorization and overstayed and stuff, you still get a green card. They said, do we write the office we attend the interview? Yeah, just go towards the interview notice that you have. They don't want you to do this. It's not part of the formal stuff, but I do it anyways. But your interview appointment notice will have the address you're supposed to go for your interview, and just write it there. If you know the officer's name, say attention to that officer, and keep it civil, polite, and just see if you could be of any help. And hopefully that'll nudge them to move the case forward. If not, we had to really analyze what happened at the interview to see if there's like marriage fraud accusations going. You didn't answer well. If they're going to do an investigation into you. And stuff like that we got to look at to see what's going on and how protected you are. And thank you everybody who pressed like on TikTok. We got 600 likes. That's wonderful. See if we get to 1,000 for all those watching. TikTok's not really promoting me as much today, but definitely like him. So they said, I do have a lawyer, but I'm worried about not having I-130. How is it possible? How it's possible? Maybe it's expired. No, it's not expired. The government loses stuff or they just can't find stuff. They'll find that. That's not too irregular that they say I can't find it and stuff. That's not the worst. It's not unexpected of them. Lily says, thank you. You're welcome. You're welcome. For everyone, if you want to schedule a consultation office, go to our website, jqklaw.com/contact, jqklaw.com/contact. Big Boss says, what's I-797C code 5? I-797C is a notice from the government. It could be like, a receipt notice or something like that, or interview notice, but not interview notice, but like a receipt or approval notice, something like that. But a code 5, I'd never heard of. There's no code 5s that I'm aware of in immigration law to say that. I'm putting it into Google right now to see what you're talking about. But there's no code 5. Code 5 in police talk means like we're okay, everything's okay. But let's see. Notice of action with code 5 is a schedule by one hand, fingerprints, footprints, front signatures. It's a type of biometrics from what Google's saying. But essentially, what you're looking at is a biometrics point. Just go and don't worry about what kind of code type. That shouldn't be a problem. But Google is saying it's some sort of like one hand fingerprints, footprints scheduled, I guess. Not a bad question. I'd never paid attention to the codes on it. Fingerprinting only. Code 5 is appointments for one hand fingerprints, a photograph, and signature. I guess they have different kinds of like biometrics. So fingerprints only and photos only, but it really just show up there and take care of it. Thanks for the Big Boss. I appreciate it. But essentially, yeah, just go show up. All right, thank you everyone for. We got some more likes. We jumped from 600 to 800. Let's see if we get to 1,000 in a minute or two. We'll try to stick around a little bit longer. But again, I'm immigration lawyer John Kusrabi. If you want to download our ultimate marriage green card guide to put out the fiancé visa process, marriage visa process, to understand what's going on. Even if you're not going through it yet, you want to learn about it, or if you're doing another kind of case, download the guide. You'll be amazed how much information is there for everybody, really. Because the process for marriage green card, it's still consular processing, still adjustment status. These are things everyone needs to go through to get a green card. You can download the guide at marriageimmigrationlaw.com. Again, that's marriageimmigrationlaw.com. And if you're interested in citizenship, we have a guide for that, the Ultimate Naturalization Guide, 50+ pages of information there. If you have to go to a website, jqklaw.com/citizenship, you can download that, jqklaw.com/citizenship. So feel free to shoot out your questions about U.S. immigration law and happy to answer it. A lot of changes happening on a consistent basis with immigration. It's getting scarier and scarier. It's unbelievable some of the stuff that's happening. I don't want to scare people by getting to it too much, but big adjustments are happening. In the state of California alone, they've looked into driver's licenses. They're going to be canceling like 17,000 driver's licenses for errors in their immigration paperwork. most likely a lot of you who have green cards, but have some errors and typos in it, they cause your driver's license to get revoked. You have to go and fix it up. That's gonna be a major headache to do something like that. So be prepared for stuff like that coming up. But we can go on. If y'all have questions about stuff, we'll try to jump into it. Lexi, thanks so much for giving the gift. Feel free to like to us, see if we get 1,000 likes before I leave the show in a few minutes. We're about drawing to the end of the show. But so if y'all have a few more questions, please let me know. If not, we'll call it a day. I'll be back again next Tuesday, 4 p.m. Pacific time, 7 p.m. Eastern, to answer your questions live about U.S. immigration law. I guess that's it for today. Thanks so much for listening. I'm John Kusrabi, founder of the JQK Law Firm. Hope to connect with you next week. Bye-bye.